Hi, everybody. Welcome to Happy AF. I am Maxine. I am happy alcohol-free.
And I'm Isabelle, and I'm happy as fuck.
We are. We're happy-go-lucky people. It is, let's start off with, let's drink something.
Yeah, well, first, man, you're worse than I am. I was going to say, how are you? But I'm glad that you're jumping to the booze.
No, because I've actually not had this one.
I'm with you. So,
and this is our Liquid Joy segment. I've never had this one, so I'm dying to taste it.
Right. So you and I have our priorities straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get a drink in the glass.
First and love after.
Actually, before you pour before you pour it, I'm going to tell you about the glass you're going to pour it in.
Oh.
Because
does the perfect breast fit in these?
Oh my.
You remember like the old Marie Antoinette? So, well, mine, they're too small for it. So, but yours, mine
actually fits perfectly. First of all, I want to talk about this glass because they were just gifted to me by a wonderful new fan who is in our Happy AF listener pod. And she gave me this and she was like, I want you to drink out of these. They're so beautiful. And they're this like, cute color, really beautiful color. They look so retro to me. Like,
they're very like retro.
And oh gosh, I mean, I washed them, but I didn't take this sticker off. Oh, okay. This is
the sticker. It says, mouth blown glass. Holy shit, they're mouth blown. You know I can go south real fast with that, right? I'm going to let that slide. I'm going to let the mouth blown slide. Yeah, I'm maturing.
No, you're not letting it slide. Okay, but look how beautiful these are.
They are.
Aren't they gorgeous? Okay,
so it's so funny that I did not know they were mouth blown, and the first thing I did is jam them on my boobs.
This is what I'm saying.
Listen, man, once you're broken forever. So let's talk about this non-booze booze here.
Yes.
Naughty. So they use, I have a feeling it's the same one, but that they changed the label. You might have seen it with a red label with black lettering.
Yes. And they have a sparkling.
Yes, they do too. Yes. And the red lettering naughty one is a Shiraz or Syrah,
right.
Same difference. And that is too. But I think there could be a little coup of marketing that they're saying that this one specifically has been aged in French oak. I have a feeling the other one too, but who knows?
Okay.
At least now they're letting us know.
But listen, I like that label. And also for our people who are listening and not watching, it is called Naughty, N-O-U-G-H-T-Y. Naughty, N-A-U-G-H-T-Y.
Oh, is there a difference? What does this one mean?
How do you spell naughty? N-A-U.
And yeah, naughty means you're being naughty.
Yes, I think it's the play on words. But naught is the word zero.
Got it.
So it's a little play on words.
Look at you, you're so smart.
Well, no.
And it's pretty,
not questioning my ability to spell.
Let's taste it. I will be honest that I've had it and I liked it.
Oh, good.
And by the way, for those who
look how pretty it is in that glass.
Super pretty. And those are mindful of sugars because a lot of people are not just for diets, but also taste. Like I don't like
something too sweet.
Too sweet. So this one is really not horrible. It's more than others than I drink, but it's only 4 grams per half a cup.
Okay.
So the whole bottle has got 20 grams. That's less than a can of Coca-Cola by a lot, by the way.
Yeah,
so
by a lot.
We're not talking...
Well, cheers. Yeah. Naughty wine in our very pretty glasses.
In our mouth-blown glass. So, by the way...
Oh, my gosh.
Smells like booze.
Smells good.
Right? Smells like wine. Brooks the other day had another one of my wine and smelled it and he said, I'll be honest, I can't tell the difference between yours and mine.
Let's cheers to the fact that we agree on this because we disagree on a lot of lines.
This one's good, right?
Love.
Yeah, Shiraz. A good one. And I'm pretty sure it's made in California.
Okay, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
This will be great with dinner, but nice with cheese.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they use a malolactic fermentation and they dealkalize. Yep. So I think it's really good, and they're a good brand. Yep. So that's it. So I'm super happy with this one.
That is amazing. So, okay, actually, the last time I saw you was at my St. Patrick's Day party.
So much fun.
Which was so much fun. But again, what's becoming more and more interesting to me is how many people drank non-alcoholic wine and beer.
Insane. And I'm not going to talk about that because it's for the next episode, but I have so much discovery on that subject, but we'll leave that for later, right? And not only that, not only did I, at your party, which was awesome. I'm so glad I arrived early. So for those who don't know, I'm the epitome of uncool. If I arrive on time, that's actually a little late. So I'm the asshole that arrives 5 minutes early. I can't help myself. It's a disease. But the benefit of that, not besides pissing off the host, is that I get to see the decoration and before like everybody spoils it, right?
Oh,
and so the house was like all decorated. It was beautiful, like
green, white, and
Irish.
gold everywhere. Yep.
But it was really pretty. It wasn't cheesy Irish. Like it wasn't just like
no.
bought. Like it was
listen,
pretty.
I'm really specific about
it was
that,
pretty.
as everybody learned from 2 episodes ago.
And some of the food was matching. Like there were cookies and things, and they were matching the color theme. And I was like, wow, that's like a Martha Stewart like spread. It was really pretty, and the people were very pretty too.
Thank you. We had a lot of great people at the party, and what's amazing. So we started the party. It was a Friday, and we started it because I was traveling up to that. I started at 5 o'clock.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was there. I was there at 5. I wasn't early.
You were
but I was
right there on time, and you were
like,
like, "Where is everybody?" And I'm like, they'll be here. And it was kind of one of those rolling arrival situations because of how early it is. And if you have an office job that requires you and you don't have schedule flexibility, then 5 o'clock is early for a party.
It is.
But the beauty of that is people are gone at 9 o'clock.
Oh my God. So as we've talked about
I think
that,
you were gone at 8 o'clock.
Oh shit. I was gone at, we're talking about, I was done at 7:30. I was out of there. We had dinner at home. We've talked about that before where it used to be, and I don't know if it's age that's helped me or stopping drinking. I have a feeling it's both, right? But
combo,
my anxiety for me, like, and my sister's the one who put words to this. I never put word to this before, but she's like, you know what? I know, Isabelle, you're buoyant and you're exuberant, but she's like, you're socially anxious. You're always the first one to go. And if people come over my house, now I'm better, but it used to be that it would stress me out before they come thinking, fuck, what time are they going to leave? Are they going to stay late? Are they going to stay late? I don't want them to stay late. I want to be in bed at 11. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whereas now people know, I put it out there. I'm like, listen, and if it's going too long, I'm like, clap, clap, clap. Everybody needs to go a half hour, right?
Yes.
But it used to be an anxiety of mine. But now that I don't drink, maybe I own it better.
Yeah.
I don't push to the wet.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day in the 50s club, right? Once I feel like your I don't give a fucks are just, it's everywhere. And so now I'm like, but I think it's funny that you're talking about, you used to have anxiety about people leaving.
Right.
I used to have anxiety about people leaving too early. And it used to freak me out because I was there on the nights that I was hosting an event, I'm like, we are in, okay? I need you to roll up your sleeves. This is a marathon.
Oh my God, you're like my stepmother-in-law.
Sprint. I am like, we are here. There is going to be there's going to be cocktails, then we're going to sit, then there's going to be after dinner drinks, there's going to be around the fire, and there's going to be stories, there might be music. Like my nights.
I'm like, where's my Lexapro? Holy fuck. My stepmother-in-law, Patricia, whom I love, and she's British. And do you know how many times I've made her mad or hurt her feelings? Because so that's what it is. You just made me realize I would basically like rain on our parade. Like she'd be hosting and she loves having parties just like you. And at 9:30 or 10, and when I was on the sauce even, I'd be like, I'm out, I'm going to bed. She would be pissed, and I'm stubborn. I'd be, fuck that, I'm going to bed. I don't care. And I would just go. And the next day, I would not stop hearing about it, and it would piss her off. And that's why.
Yeah,
because she had a plan.
And here's the other thing that used to happen to me, and I love to throw like really nice dinner parties.
Oh, you go all out.
So, with my table, and I've got things that are scheduled out. And then someone at the dinner table, if it's like 10 or 12 people, gets up to go home, then it's like you're breaking the energy. You're breaking this thing that we've created together. And then I would get really upset because then one person would get up to go and someone else would be like, oh yeah, and I'm like, sit down, it's not over. I will tell you when you're leaving.
Oh my God. I would have had to go to your party so medicated. I would have had to be, first of all, I would have already showed up a little drunk because I used to always drink before I went somewhere. I mean, because it was always too late for me anyway. I always started drinking early. But I would have doubled up on the Lexapro for sure. That would have been like, fuck, man. First of all, I'm not a communal person. I'm highly not a good egotistical, I don't think, but I'm very individual. Like, that's one of the things about yoga that rubs me the wrong way. All this togetherness. I'm like, fuck, leave me the shit alone. Like I want to be over here now, doing like I have to be communing, and we have a community around the dinner, and I have to stay a certain time. That's like being on a fucking cruise, bro. Like, no. That's hysterical. So glad you're off the sauce. Ooh, I learned a new one.
No, but I still am like that. I'm like, don't.
Are you joking?
Yeah. I mean, well, listen, I want you out of my house at a certain time, but But
not before you said so.
Not before I'm done with all of the things that I have planned for the event. You have no idea what is coming down the line.
Well, at least
now I just start the dinners at 5:30.
Well, so that's fine,
right? But this was people coming for cocktails at 6:30. We're not even sitting down to the dinner table until 8 o'clock. Then dessert's not coming till 10.
Oh my God!
And then I've got dessert wine, and then I've got some kind of dinner party game or conversation.
Are you also changing dress?
No, actually, usually in the same outfit. But yes, you know me too well. I love a costume change in the middle of anything. So yeah, that's funny that we're the same. We're so different about that. But speaking of elaborate tablescapes, it's Easter is my absolute favorite.
Oh God, there we go. You have to bring it up, right? That's why I'm wearing black.
And I love that you are like the Grinch for Easter.
Oh, there's a whole reasoning why I hate Easter so much. Like, there's a
what is it? The pastels, which you are.
There's
I
more.
love that you are in pretty much black head to toe.
So,
and look at me in my pastel blue,
first of all,
my light blue jeans.
Baby Jesus did die, so I'm honoring that by wearing some black. And by the way, I never wear pink, but I'm wearing pink glasses just for you.
Okay, I love it.
But here's the Easter, since we're going to talk about religion and booze. Here's why I have a deep-seated dislike for Easter. And actually, this is not something I'm saying at an older age to be funny. I had this conversation with my mom earlier this week. She's like, oh, I remember when it started. You must have been 7 or 8. So it's been a long time I dislike Easter. So here we are.
Okay.
First of all, I've been growing up in the 70s in Montreal when we were still highly, highly strongly Catholic.
Yes.
There's a couple of things that were really sucked about Easter. Number one, on the 5 channels that were French, all you could watch from Thursday to fucking Sunday was the life of Jesus that was filmed in the 1960s that used to be originally black and white, and they slapped some color on it.
Man.
And I still have the music etched in my head. Anyways, it's very depressing when he's dragging his ass up the mountain with the cross. It's the whole thing. And I remember being a young child being like, this sucks, right?
Why
you can't watch anything else.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, it's the worst weather. It's always around March or April, where if you're from this part of the world, it's great. It's muddy. It's cold.
It's mud season.
It's gross. It's everything, right? Number three, it's a highly religious holiday. I never liked religion. Religion always depressed me. I didn't like priests. I didn't like going to church. I didn't like none of it. So that sucked. Number four.
Wow.
There's a whole reason. I did not start disliking Easter on a whim. This is a well-thought process. You're not going to dislike the most important holiday of a religion without really giving it some thought, right?
Yeah, and I see you've put thought into it.
Number four.
I feel like you need to write a book.
The culture in French Canada anyway, in those times, was on Easter, you would buy something new, like months in ahead, that you would save and you would wear.
Yes.
Sunday.
Easter
It was like a big
absolutely.
Day. And obviously your mom would always buy her the perfect little dress, because as much as we wanted it to be spring, but spring as in like you live in fucking LA, not spring like so your mom would buy an outfit as though you're living in California, okay? So now you're putting this fucking like thing that you've been watching for a month, dreaming of it. It's like 45 degrees outside. It's muddy, and you have to wear it with fucking like big socks and big boots and your tufta fucking purple little shit, right? It used to piss the shit out of me. I was like, why am I freezing? And plus, a little dress for spring is ugly in a parka. Like, it doesn't work, right? And it used to make me so mad. It was so inconsequential. So that was a problem. Then Back then, pastels were not what they are today. You are wearing pastels, which are delicious. They have a cream tone to them.
Yes.
Their texture. Back in the day, pastel was that ugly, like baby blue, baby pink, like the ugly kind that you can sell at Walmart. Sorry, Walmart. Like just ugly pastel. Yeah. And that was the theme, right? And then they would drag your ass to church, and it was long, and the whole place was in purple. Okay?
Yeah.
And then I hate brunch. And Easter was brunch, right? And I'm hungry when I get up first thing in the morning. I want 3 square meals. I want a breakfast, I want a lunch, and I want a dinner. I don't want to skip breakfast so that I can have an early lunch.
Jam it into lunch.
Right?
Okay.
And I don't like ham. And I don't like sweets.
Okay.
So can you imagine what Easter meant for a kid like me? It was just, I couldn't wait for Christmas. Hated it. To this day, don't like it.
So
I just don't like it. I need to drink to this. There's a lot. There's a lot.
Are you coming to Easter? My Easter, I'm asking.
Fuck no. So by the way, I'm going to be in Canada, and my mom's so funny. Called me the other day. She's like, I think you're going to be really happy. I've accepted brunch invitations from a bunch of girlfriends, so you can say thank you. I was like, I love you, Mom. She knows how much I fucking hate Easter. Otherwise, I'd have to go to brunch.
So she's going, so you don't have to
so that I'm off the hook.
I feel like there's definitely more. There's so much that you've just unpacked there about Easter.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing I did like,
yes,
there was one thing.
Tell me.
Jesus from the 1960s, that actor was good looking.
Yes. He
was good looking, but not hot enough. Like, I had a big crush on John Baker from Chips. Remember Chips?
I remember. Yeah, we didn't really have that, I don't think, in Ireland.
So I could watch for hours on end, but Jesus was hot enough that I could watch him for, half hour. Not a whole weekend, though. Not a whole weekend.
Okay.
This was a whole weekend.
No,
it was a whole weekend.
Do you remember those movies were like 3 hours long?
Oh, they are etched in my mind forever. They were not 3 hours in Montreal. They were 3 days. First of all, you have the Good Friday one, and they would go on a bow, right, nonstop.
Yeah.
And Good Friday, I didn't mind. Number one, there was no brunch involved.
Yes.
Number two, there was no communal thing. You just hung out with your family.
Own thing. Yeah.
Friday has always been a favorite of mine. And I'm not a huge meat person, and I'm not big on sweets. Yeah. And you couldn't have either. So I was like, hey, man, and Easter started being okay with me when I started drinking, because then I was like, I can wing brunch. Like, at least I wasn't the only one drinking, right?
Yeah.
That was the only thing that made it tolerable at the time.
Well, I am here to refute it all.
Right.
Okay?
So why do you love Easter?
I love Easter. I love Easter. So clearly related to the fact that the run up to Easter is all the sacrifice time, right? So
you like yourself a good sacrifice?
So I'm Catholic. What?
So
we're raised
but not
to
practicing.
Be. Well, I'm not
like
practicing in that way.
But virgin.
Growing up, no sweets, no candy.
Right.
And I was just talking about this because St. Patrick's Day always falls during Lent. Like, it's always during Lent.
Oh, that's like a karmic joke. You guys,
it is.
Like, you guys want to drink, but not you, because we now know it's American Irish that do that, but it's during Lent, and you can't. You shouldn't.
No, we do. You're allowed that day off. Actually, I mean, there's 2 schools of thought.
I want to say, Catholics, don't they have a little sneaky way of putting exception to rules when it suits them?
Oh, 100%. Well, listen, my dad was the hardcore rule guy.
Got it.
I came from my family were incredibly religious growing up. Mm-hmm. There were rosaries where we were kneeling. There was my grandmother who lived with us for big chunks of time, prayed every day of her life, twice a day in her room. Like
my grandma.
Really intense stuff. I went to a Catholic convent school. I went to mass. That's how we grew up. But my dad was the play by the rules when it came to religion. And so you weren't allowed to break your fast on St. Patrick's Day. But my mother was of the more relaxed school of thought, which was on St. Patrick's Day, the Irish were granted a special pass on that day to break your fast.
Got it.
And so my mother was just a soft, loving, kind, generous person. And my dad was like, rules. And he would say...
And did she have the paperwork to corroborate that pass?
No, but he had
kidding.
He had this statement,
right,
which was, Jesus didn't come down from the mountain for a snack.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to use that.
Jesus didn't come down for a snack.
I'm going to use that.
Meanwhile, my mother would just be like passing me chocolate and things on the side. Just don't tell your dad. Here you go. But then most grown-ups would take a pass on there because a lot of people in Ireland would give up alcohol for Lent. And so you would be given a pass on St. Patrick's Day to drink on St. Patrick's Day.
Maybe that explains the beuverie, the debauchery in the United States for the drinking. But like maybe that's the story behind it. Like people are like, oh, I got a pass and they haven't drank all this time. So they're like, woo, let's like, you know.
No, I will need to do a whole other podcast about how colonization and
messed up St. Patrick's.
Dehumanizing Irish people is what led to the drunken stereotype.
Got it.
As you can see, pretty
No,
mad
but I'm
about
talking
that.
specifically about the drinking culture of St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Maybe that's from like not having drank for 20-some days or whatever, and you get that one day, so you have to pack it in.
Yeah, but I mean, Americans don't.
No, we steal everybody's good holidays. Yeah, that's what we do.
You're not we. You're
well, I
French
have
Canadian.
A passport.
I know, me too.
Listen, I'll appropriate anything.
Yeah, I love it. But here's the thing about Easter. For me, and getting excited about Easter was always a combination of things. So from an early childhood, it was Easter eggs. So like getting your Easter eggs on Easter Sunday where you hadn't had, if you played by the rules, you hadn't had chocolate for
40 days.
And actually Lent is 47 days, which nobody tells you, by the way. They talk about this 40 days, but when it includes all the weekends, it's 47 days.
Oh, got it.
But being able to break your fast. And then the same thing, I mean, in Ireland, we don't have this climate. So there was a lot of spring coming by Easter, real spring. But same thing though, those outfits that my mother used to get us.
With the frills.
But I am a pastel lover, period. You know, like my room was so pink when I was growing up, like everything. So I just love the color palette.
Right.
And I'm also still at this point, I mean, I have a friend, we celebrate Easter together, our families. We have Easter Eve. Like we have, So, you know, back in the day, obviously no meat on Good Friday and having to go to the Stations of the Cross. I mean, it is a very drab run up to the holiday.
Really?
And then on Easter Sunday, it's like the whole celebration of whether or not you're actually celebrating Jesus Christ has risen from the dead, or you're just like, finally, I get to eat chocolate or I get to drink wine. And now for no question, in my later life as a grown-up who gave up alcohol for Lent every year.
Oh, did you not just go all out?
Oh, I went all out.
I would have too. There's no fucking way I would have given alcohol for 40 business days.
Oh, I gave up alcohol for as long as I can remember on Lent.
There's no way.
So Easter Sunday to me was, I mean, talk about the wheels coming off. I would have champagne like with breakfast.
Dude, I would have dropped my motor, forget just the wheels.
So absolutely that element of celebration. And I do love a table. So, you know, the table at Easter, and we've got all the little mini eggs and all my special china and silver comes out and all the pastel plates and napkins and bunnies. And I am so in. So my Easter is literally your worst fucking nightmare.
And not only that, I need to say about your table escape, which was so funny because I knew it was going to happen and it did. So you came over to our house, and so Maxine's table is like a party on escape. It's like going to the Montagne Russe, how do you call these things? Like going to Disneyland and Disney World, like in the castle, you know, like it's got everywhere you look, there's something new and sparkly and beautiful that matches the next thing next to it that's also sparkly and new. And she comes to our house for dinner with other friends. And I remember thinking, wow, she's going to have a fucking shock. Like it's a wood table.
It was beautiful, rustic
with paper napkins. And I remember when I put the paper napkins.
I drew the line at that.
I do remember I put them down. I remember thinking, maybe I should buy linen. I was like, fuck it, man. That's me. She's going to have to like find out. And
I don't love you any less. In fact, I love you more.
But it wasn't that I wasn't like I felt judged. I was like, fuck, man, we're really attached at the brain level because she picked the napkin. She's like, hey, this was great. Next time I'm going to bring you linen. I was like,
I'm going to gift you some linen napkins.
The one thing that I had thought about, it was so funny. So you do put the most beautiful tables ever.
Yeah, and that's what, I mean, I kind of love that about Easter and the traditions of it. But now, like, I remember my first alcohol-free Easter. I don't know, is this my second one or this will be my second?
This is going to be your second one.
So last year was just my first one. And I do remember, and I remember talking to Andrew about this, like I used to get so excited on Easter Saturday, on the night before, because I make this candy bar for my children, which looks like something out of Dylan's candy shop.
Okay, oh my God.
It is ridiculous. I will send you a picture of this.
Okay.
It is so many kinds of chocolate. And by the way, I mean, this chocolate's coming in from Europe.
Yum.
Because
good chocolate
I cannot be dealing with the
candy bars.
Hershey bar made
candy.
stuff. But they've taken over Cadbury's in America. So even the Cadbury's mini eggs do not taste the same. So I have to get them from the Food Ireland shops. Or whatever. And my friends who we celebrate, they used to go skiing in Switzerland and they would bring back Swiss chocolate. And
they're
so
not
it's just this
sugary
display.
and
then, of course, I have to have Peeps just because my children love Peeps.
What's Peeps?
Those are those ugly, awful marshmallow things. Talk about the disgusting colors. And they're dressed, they're like, they're bunny rabbits and chickens and Peeps. Anyway, they have to be there for display. But so at night when the kids go to bed, I still do this, even though they're teenagers. When they go to bed, I put out the candy display. Which is this beautiful, there's flowers and daffodils and candy everywhere you look. And I used to get so excited. And then I would go to bed and go, and tomorrow morning, mommy gets her champagne.
Yeah. So did you not get wasted? Because now you'd start early, which you weren't.
No, I wouldn't break it until Easter Sunday.
Right, but on the Sunday, would you not start at brunch time?
Absolutely.
So would you not get wasted, like if you went all day?
So here's the thing, it's a big eating holiday too.
So you could absorb it.
There was a lot, and you know, we have hot cross buns and sausage rolls, and I hear you about the rolling into the meals in together instead of having your 3 square meals. But I would have Easter lunch. I wouldn't really make it brunch.
The thing is, when you have such a big meal in the middle of the day with wine, anyways, for me, that's when it starts and it's going to stop when I go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep munching and drinking. And the munching is just so I can keep drinking. I'll be very honest. Used to, until I go to bed. And then you, like, the next day, you don't have a hangover, but you feel like heavy and bloated.
No question, because you're eating too much and drinking too much. And that was also the holiday that there is a wine that we still collect because Andrew still drinks wine, called Hansel Vineyards out in Sonoma. And we went there together when I was out on tour in California and started collecting it many, many years ago. And we're on their assignment. So we get assigned 3 bottles of Chard and 3 bottles of Pinot Noir. And it's really, really delicious, small production wine. And that was another ritual we had. We would open our Hansel Pinot Noir and our Hansel Chardonnay on that day. And I remember, you know, with many of these things, and I say this to anyone who asks me, how did you do it? Like, how did you break the rituals, the traditions? You don't know you can do it until you do it. So if you had told me a couple of years ago that I would have alcohol-free, booze-free, sober Easters, I would have thought it was impossible.
And you're right. And the thing is also, then that makes me think of something we're going to talk in more detail a little bit later, but not to sound like a broken record, but for me anyways, the non-alcoholic beverages, I've saved my rituals. And one of the things is that's where I disagreed with Annie Grace in her book. There's one part I disagreed with where she was saying that they sold us the taste of wine, that it's actually not that good, that, you know, people couldn't differentiate. I highly disagree with that because, by the way, I can't wait. So when you de-alcoholize a wine, it still retains a lot of the flavor, but alas, by removing the alcohol, which is you lose a lot of the polyphenols, which give a lot of aromas. You know, even if you're being very delicate, you're going to lose some, right? And that's why they taste great, but they're not tasting as complex as wines that have alcohol in it, right? So the alcohol is something you get addicted to, and we know all the stuff that it does makes you feel like shit. But if tomorrow morning God came down, and with all the fucking like Easter I've given to God, because I believe in God, it's just not the Catholic thing. I think you should give me that solid. Like, you should find a way to tell the folks like at Hensel, if someone found a way to keep these wines completely intact.
Yes.
Without
that
the
they
alcohol,
taste the same
but
without the
exact
alcohol.
same. Jesus, Lord have mercy. Like, oh my God. Because, so the other day I had an incident, and I'll talk about it later, where I could not get non-alcoholic wine, and I usually can. And this was a place where I could not. And I came back home and I told Brooks, so I thought, oh, I'm now addicted to non-alcoholic wine, like psychologically, right? Because I go out of my way to get it. And I realized, no, it's not an addiction. It's something I really enjoy, because the difference was I was bummed out for 30 seconds.
Yes.
I went to the bar of the hotel, had a burger, chit-chatted with the bartender for an hour over club soda. I didn't even realize that I was not having my ritual. Went to bed, and only the next day I was like, fuck, I lingered at the bar for 2 hours with club soda, right? Now, if it had been when I was drinking and I couldn't have gotten alcohol, I would have been I would have been antsy.
Yeah.
And by the way, that brings me about your party, and I met some people there that were earlier in their sobriety, and it made me think of sometimes we don't recall maybe enough. And for me, it was difficult early on, but so early in my sobriety, when I quit drinking the first couple of months, if I went to a bar because I was traveling and ate, the first thing I wanted to do is like eat as fast as I could and get the hell out of there and go to bed.
Yeah.
Right away, to just make this pain go away. And now,
not even missing, right?
Right, because the missing and the jonesing, the triggers, and all that. Whereas now, and I'm saying that for some of those people that are early in sobriety and they find that sometimes difficult, and maybe we're making it sound like it's so easy. So at first, I had these experiences where it was difficult at first.
Yeah,
and now,
listen, we're 13, how many episodes in?
Yeah.
You definitely have talked about multiple times.
But now,
how it was hard, and you and I have had such a completely different journey.
Right?
And wow. Speaking of Annie Grace,
God, yes. But I just want to say now, for those who are hopeful, a year and a half later, I go to bars and I don't even remember. I'm not even drinking NA wine.
Right.
But you were on AG's
I was on
podcast.
Annie Grace's podcast, and they interviewed me, and it was Coach Cole. But one of the things that we actually talked about was that how everybody's experience is different.
Very different.
But he asked me some really interesting questions, and actually you can listen to it. It's an amazing podcast.
It is.
I mean, she's been around. She's
Long
one of
time.
the OGs in this space. And I can't wait to, towards the second half of this season, for our first season, we will be gearing up to have guests. And she's my number one. She's number one on my wish list, because she started it off for so many of us.
Also normal folks like us walking the same path that can share their experience.
Yes. But when I told someone I was on, someone who listens to her podcast, This Naked Mind podcast, religiously, this person said to me, "Did you cry?" And I was like, what do you mean, did I cry? It hasn't even come out yet. How did you know that I cried? Because I did cry. And it was one of those moments where I guess I have been on a very, very joyful alcohol-free experience. Right. And I know that not everybody has that. And I know, but I've also talked about my moments where I had a real FOMO in the early days.
FOMO's a tough one.
But seeing a gorgeous martini and remembering, like, my favorite was a pear martini, like a pear flavored anything is my favorite.
Got it.
And thinking about salivating, being in a moment where I was like, oh, I really, really wish I could taste that.
Right.
But it didn't. I never got to a place where it made me too sad, because I was able to still latch on to, okay, but tomorrow, Maxine, you're not going to have a hangover.
Right.
And the joy of that is the thing that kept me going forward. It kept me going forward. But Cole asked me a question that made me cry on the air. And we went through the whole idea of, for me, what it was getting off the roller coaster of drinking, which was, and he had said how many people they've had on who were stable drinkers, who were just drink every day, versus roller coaster drinkers like me, which was, you know, binge drinking, no drinking, and then drinking too much to crazy excess. And he asked me this question that no one had ever asked me before. And he said, what would you tell the younger version of you, right when you had started drinking? Because I told him that I was one of those people who didn't drink alcohol until I was 20. And he said, what would you tell 20-year-old Maxine? And I went back in my brain and I relived the moment of drinking for the very first time. Aside from my altar wine, which also made me cry, but as a 20-year-old young girl and drinking wine, and how bad that was, that first experience for me. I got really, really drunk. I made a really bad decision. I put myself in danger. I later learned that what happened to me was sexual assault. All of this happened on the first time I drank alcohol. Yeah. And as I went back and thought about that, I thought to myself, and I started crying, I would have just told her, skip it. Right. Skip the whole thing. You know, all of this one, and I don't, like you and I agree that there's no regrets. I don't look back and regret, but you said something to me recently that I loved. These words you said were, I don't regret it, but there are things I would have done differently. And so for me, knowing who I am as an alcohol consumer, if I'd had the information that you are someone, when you start, you're going to have a really hard time stopping. Right. So if I could have told 20-year-old Maxine that this experience you've had today with the very first one is indicative of the rest of your relationship with this beverage, I would have just said, you're not going to do it. You're going to sidestep this completely. And thinking about my young, innocent self, not having this information, not knowing that I have this way of how my body and how my brain and how everything about me relates to alcohol, how it reacts to alcohol. I didn't know. And so for 30 years, I rode the roller coaster without knowing. Right. That's an interesting question to ask you, because it makes me think, so different than you. In my case, first time I drank, I was 14, and then I vomited. My mom held my hair, and then I never was sick ever again after that. Yes. But probably in my case, it would have been if someone had told me. It was so culturally ingrained. Anyways, that's the way I envisioned my culture at the time. So because I don't want everybody, I'm sure a lot of people disagree, but maybe not, that this is what you did to fit in. Yes. Right? So if the same question that he asked you, I think if someone had told me, you can fit in without this, right? You don't need to do this. We're still learning this now. Because what happened to me, I did not have a roller coaster. It was a very stable relationship. It was a very deep relationship. Yes. It was a very strong relationship. It was a very constant relationship. There was no blips. There was no, I mean, it was the most loyal relationship I've ever had, right? And to the point where you get addicted to it. Yep. And also, it's almost like in my culture where there's a part of it, maybe not now, but back then, where you accepted that you might get addicted. It's not shameful to be addicted to alcohol, as long as don't get fucked up, which I did. Yeah. Right. So it's a different experience, and both these experiences have difficulties. In your case, getting off a roller coaster, I can't imagine how that's hard, because you get used to these up and down. In my case, is that the physical addiction, like, the sleepiness. I mean, there's all kinds of things that come with a physical addiction that are not fun. And then it's like when you quit cigarettes, or that thing was always there, and it's part of your identity, right? And and I think a lot of people, like one of your friend at your party, I think was struggling with that too. She's like, I've drank every day for the last 40 years. Yeah. It's who you are, and all of a sudden you have to be it feels like you have to be someone different. Yeah. And I realized that this week, I was like, even if I want, first of all, I don't want to drink, so that takes care of that.
But now the not drinking has now become my new personality.
Yes. Yes.
Where I can't envision anything else, right? It would be like cheating on me. It would be strange. It would be off. So it does happen.
I mean, I think about that all the time because it was so attached to my identity.
Right.
And not as the everyday drinker, but
as
the
who you
party
were.
girl.
Correct.
But like I was so identified as, if you're going out with her, you
watch
are
it.
going out.
Yeah.
And if you are going to her house, you are gonna
take the
party,
day off the next day.
And you are gonna go hard, balls to the wall.
It's hard to give up an identity.
Part of my identity.
Yes.
And as we have discovered, I've lost friends because that's no longer my identity. That people who have associated that as core to me. I thought it was core to me. I thought it was core to me until I stopped drinking.
And I think
I would have said
1,000
times. I did say it.
Right.
Towards the end, right when I started to get exhausted by the roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, I remember saying to my husband over and over again, when I had a bad hangover, I would say to Andrew, God, I wish I didn't drink alcohol, but I know I can't not. I know that I can't. I used to say to him,
you felt it was your responsibility.
I can't live without
But you
wine.
also probably felt it was almost like your responsibility. That's why.
Yes. How do I change this much?
You can't give that up. People are relying on this Maxine.
Yes.
And I understand that. Like my personality was different than yours on the drinking front, but it's still something you etch, and you're like who am I going to give to people? And I think, like, for me, the first few months of sobriety, and I hate using that word, but of not drinking, first I had to deal with physical withdrawals, which, you know, they weren't horrible, but they're there. But then, like, almost like shedding of this, like, of letting go of who you thought you were. And it's a little scary because you're like, what if people don't like that new person, right? What if I don't like that new person? And I had decided I was going to accept that person. And thankfully, my husband was so sweet, because that's stories you hear too, where it doesn't go so well.
No.
And he was...
in a marriage, I mean, if you're very... far apart.
So thankfully, he was like, I'm cool with that person. So I got very lucky. But then you're like, what if no one else likes me? What if my sister, my mother think I'm boring? What if my friends are like, who is this person? And I have to do this. So that's mean I'm accepting they're not going to like me. It's hard to accept that. And then it turns out okay, by the way.
But you know what? It's inevitable.
Right.
It is inevitable with any kind of massive change.
Correct.
Like that. I mean, it's the people that you bonded with, where that was core to the relationship. You're going to have a different relationship with those people. But my big message around that is, I have met new people that so far outweigh the loss. And I have mourned friendships that are different now, because we don't go out and booze all night. But the ones that I have gained, you, milady, example, are top of the freaking pile of new friends. I mean, I can't imagine life without you now, because we have this new chapter this journey that we are going on together. And we had our first Happy AF club, which was our first in-person meeting. Most of those women I did not know before. And the people that are finding each other on this journey are just, it's like I have new tennis friends since I picked up learning tennis. And we have this thing in common now, which is this sport. And we love to talk about it, and we love to get together and do it together. But it's the same.
Also, for people that are listening, unlike you, I don't have as many friends as you do, because I'm much more, as I said, individualistic. So my circle of friends is much smaller. I have a lot of acquaintance, but not that many friends. And I will say, so for people that are listening, they're like, oh shit, I might lose friends. You may, but I'll be honest, in my experience, people that love you, like 99% of my friends, and I don't have a lot.
They're true friends.
They stayed.
Listen, the friends that you lose because you quit drinking weren't really your friends.
Like, to be honest with you, when I look in their eyes, I can tell that they don't see a difference. I can tell that they're not mourning, or they're fantastic actors. Either one.
No,
you know what I mean? So
I don't think, I think there's a very small percentage.
Right.
But I have spoken to people about this.
Right.
Who are like, I don't know how to hang out with this girl anymore.
That is true.
Because she only wants to still drink that much even when she's with me. And that thing is like, we don't have it's like you're
and
trying to play the same sport, but you're not.
And the person is bothered if you don't drink.
Yes.
That's a problem. Like that the person wants to drink and you don't, if the person doesn't give two fucks, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when they start whining or feeling self-conscious because you're not drinking, that can cause
But here's another real positive out of the identity shift that I have experienced, and I know you have too,
right.
on a personal level, I'm not even talking about on the podcast level, is that people have said to me, oh my God, that you did this is proof to me that I can do it too.
Yes.
So I have a really good friend who, and mostly, by the way, it has been women, but in the last couple of weeks, I've had conversations with two men who are very, very identified by their relationship with alcohol.
Okay.
One in the business, in the hospitality business, and part of life in the world of wine and restaurants.
Right.
And the other one who's just been really, just as he said, a real heavy drinker my whole life.
Right.
Both of those people reached out to me. One I happened to meet the other day, and he said, what do I say to you? Do I say happy sobriety? Do I say happy? I'm like, you can say, he said, do I congratulate you? And I said, you can say to me whatever you want, but congratulations is absolutely appropriate.
It's great.
Because I do feel
like
celebrating, and this is a huge accomplishment. And he looked at me, and I kid you not, I know there was both fear mixed with hope in his eyes. And he said to me, I want to try.
Oh, shit.
I don't know how. But I want to try.
Okay.
And you are giving me hope.
So what did you tell him to do to try it?
I said, give yourself a window of time.
Okay.
And say, for this period of time, I'm not going to drink.
But
he's a daily drinker.
Did you suggest a book or?
I mean, we had a long conversation.
Oh, got
about
it.
Right.
Okay,
but
so
I
you
said,
gave him some ideas.
But my takeaway was, how do you want to know how I did it?
Right.
I said to myself, you're not going to drink for 75 days.
Right.
Go.
Right.
And see what happens at the end. And this is somebody who has never gone like a day or two
you
without
do
drinking.
like, and that's something someone in my family is like trying to moderate, and that's fine. Like not drinking a few days and stuff. And the person was like, man, it's hard. And I was like, I know.
Yep.
And I said, I'm not saying that to try to drive you away or another, but it's actually and that person doesn't drink as much as I did. I'm not even close, but the daily thing, the cultural thing. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's definitely more difficult than just quitting.
Yes.
I mean,
agree.
And I was like, I'm not saying that to try to sway you to that person I was saying, but I was like, I know, because I tried the 2 days and the 3 days, like so many times, and that's
exhausting.
brutal.
It's exhausting.
And I know for me, and I believe for that person as well, when you do that, you're just waiting for that Thursday or that Friday, and that's all you're doing the whole time. You're just buying time. And physically, if you read on all the books, that's the hardest fucking time. So you're always putting yourself in the hardest withdrawal period over and over. You never get over the hump.
And listen, back to Easter, that's exactly what happened with me at Easter. I would get through those 47 days with no problem because I knew there was an end in sight, right? So you're not really thinking about how alcohol plays a role in your life. You're only thinking about, I'm out of 46. It for now, and I'm thinking about
day 46.
All I'm thinking about is Easter Sunday.
If you're a daily drinker, even not as heavily as I was, let's say you're just drinking 2 glasses of wine a day, right? So, I mean, certainly, depending who you speak with, they're going to say, oh, that's a problem. But, fine, maybe, but socially, it's not, right?
Yes.
But even so, your body has gotten accustomed to these 2 glasses of alcohol every day. You are going to get uncomfortable physically. You will.
Yep.
You're not going to have the tremors, but I'm saying you're going to be uncomfortable. And when you just take breaks 2-3 days every time, you're just staying in that uncomfortable zone every time. So it's brutal.
So every one of my friends or acquaintances who has quit, I would say 100% of them have said that was the best thing.
Oh God, yes.
Is removing the thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because the moderation and, you know, as I was thinking about conversations around religion and how every single one of these big celebrations like Easter and Christmas and Passover. Oh my gosh, I have a
my God, yeah, your Passover story. You told me you'd tell me something.
They're all, you know, they're all associated with religion. They're all associated with alcohol. And here's the crazy thing that I'd never even thought about it before. And I would love to delve into this when we do have a guest someday who can really talk about
an historian or a theologian.
A theologian who can talk about this. But like when you think about Catholicism, and that's the one I can speak to because that's what I was raised in. And the first time I was given alcohol was on the altar at 8 years old, and I cried my eyes out because I thought I was drinking fucking poison. I was drinking poison, but I didn't know it, and it was tastes so bad to me. And my mother was like, "You can't spit it out." I was holding it in my mouth. I wanted to spit it out, and it's the blood of Christ. And I'm like, what? And then you think about religion and how they give it to you in the ceremony,
and then take it away.
Service, but then they're frowning upon drunkenness. So they're giving you this addictive substance.
Wait, I think I just answered it. That's exactly what it is.
What?
They give you something you like, and then they take it away. That's how they exert power on you. I'm going to take it away. I'm going to take it away.
But the ridiculousness of giving you this in ritual.
Oh, that.
And in the Catholic religion, which is the wine is the blood, symbolizing the blood of Christ. But then, you know, you're not supposed to get drunk. So you're giving an addictive substance and saying moderate.
Right.
Like that is the problem that we have uncovered with so many of us is we cannot moderate with this substance.
No, because by the way, it's an addictive substance. And just like, you know, I told you earlier that drinking wine at the altar, that actually I remembered this like because you texted me a few days ago. I was on a plane saying, "Hey, we'll talk about Easter because we're about Easter," and it popped in my head this memory, which is quite funny actually. There's a very photographic memory of me and my dad at church when he was still going, because my father became an atheist in the 90s, and that was that,
an
right?
Atheist,
he went, the baby in the bathwater, everybody went. Yeah, big time atheist. But when he was still like drinking the Kool-Aid, we're in church, and you know, back then they used to have the little bread thing and the chalice of wine. Yes. And I was maybe 7-ish or 8. And I said to my dad, I was like, "Ooh, I want to taste that." And my dad in church goes, "Oh, no, don't taste that one. I'll give you some good stuff."
Because it's so bad.
It's so bad. And in his head, it was still like wine is a delicious thing. Don't waste your wine thinking at 7 years.
Don't be thinking that's
I'll show you. Hey, kid, I'll show you the rope. Right? Well, that was really funny.
It's well, as you know, so my husband's family are Jewish, and so
that's sort of Passover.
But that Manischewitz is the Jewish wine, but I don't actually know.
What is it made out of?
I mean, it's also made out of grapes, yes, but it's the sweetest, most vile wine. I mean, and it's famous. Andrew used to say,
do they
we
drink
have to
drink it, or they just put their lips in it?
You do little sips of it,
Got it.
You know, over Passover, which is coming up. So Passover and Easter, of course, are usually really close to each other, really close to each other, because it's all from that time in history. Right. And listen, I'm also an atheist. So
are you atheist? I believe in God, but not the guy with a beard that was the Papa of Jesus.
I mean, I say this all the time.
I think this is God.
And I think it's really important to respect everyone's beliefs. Right. And having been raised in a Catholic house, a very strict Catholic house, having been schooled in a Catholic convent boarding school.
Oh God.
I was all in. I mean, to the point that the nuns in my school thought I was going to be a nun.
Oh, Jesus.
I was Miss Little, you know, I used to go to mass every day. I sang and led all the hymns in my school. Like I was very religious.
Yeah.
I was all in. And then I joke with Andrew. Now I say, and then I met Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Who's that?
The astrophysicist.
Oh, Neil.
Neil
the guy
Tyson.
who went to the moon.
And I watched the Cosmos, and I read all of his books, and I was like, guys, come on.
Oh, so it's so funny. So it's so funny. That was my first thoughts or doubts about religion. And again, I respect all religions.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with them. I just respect them. I'm like, hey, man, to each your own. But I remember asking my dad.
If the whole world did that, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in.
I remember when I was like 8 or 9, you know, I went to Catholic school too, because private school back then was all Catholic. So even though my parents were like, they were religious, but not a ton, and then they became atheists. My dad did. My mom is more like me. She's spiritual, right?
Yes.
But Catholicism went like off the window in the 80s. But I remember I was like, again, 7 or 8, and they had this special on TV with a scientist that explained the evolution of the planet. And you see, it started like they came out of the water, they started growing legs.
I mean, you can't unsee that.
Right. And I look at my dad. My dad was watching it with me, and he's like, what? My dad's an accountant, and he was chartered accountant, but he was like big in science. My dad's a nerd like me. And we're like into it, and he's explaining me like the stuff I didn't understand. So when it was over, and I was like, so then where's the part about Adam and Eve? And he's like, well, that's the story they tell you, but that's the real deal. But I was like, how about an Eve? You know, he's like, well, that's how they're trying to explain what really happened. And I remember that was starting to be the crack, that the Bible was a bunch of stories.
But so how old were you?
Like 7 or 8.
Okay.
And then he started telling me, he's like, the Bible's like, it's good that you know it because it gives you good tricks. Because like to be nice and not cheat. But he was like,
listen, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
But he's like, a lot of it is stories so that you understand stuff.
Yes.
And then it was clear enough what he was saying is like, the whole thing is bullshit, but it's good philosophy. That's what he was saying, right?
Yes. And listen, I am a big fan of taking the great things from different religions.
Yes.
But so unlike you, I was fully steeped
immersed
to the exclusion of every other religion because growing up in Ireland, everybody's Catholic, or you're Protestant, in which case
plus you guys had to fight to preserve your identity. So I can understand you become insular.
But we didn't have exposure. There was zero exposure to other religions.
Right.
And the first time I met someone of the Islamic faith, I was 20, in my early 20s. My best friend in law school, as a whole other story we'll talk about someday about traveling. But when I met Andrew, I've told this story. It was Lent, right? But that year, or I don't know if it was that year or was the next year, he said, would you like to come to Passover? And I said, I would love to. That's very kind of your family to include me. And I was trying to be really gracious, but I was terrified.
Oh, yeah?
I was terrified because I had never, ever been exposed to the Jewish faith, to Judaism, the practices, the anything. I knew nothing about it. I was never told about it. I never had an occasion to read about it. So anyway, we're going to Passover. We're living in New York City at the time. And he said, I'll pick you up and we'll drive out to my aunt's house out in Long Island. And we're on our way out there. And I said to him, he said to me, actually, he was like, are you okay? You seem a little off. You seem a little quiet, which is very unusual for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm a little nervous. And he was like, oh my God, what are you nervous about? And I said, I've never been to a Passover, and I'll be really uncomfortable if there's going to be Jesus bashing.
Oh, I'll tell you my Jewish story after that. That's really funny. So oh my God, wait, that needs to sink in. They did kill baby Jesus, and you're like, they can't talk about my man and his back. That is so sweet. You were protecting your people.
I was but I mean, the ignorance to be
fucking hysterical.
So I got to
But you were sweet. You're
I got to my 30s.
Don't touch Jesus. Like,
I was like, no, listen,
do
for
not
all the
touch
things
Jesus.
that are going on, I can't be sitting around a table where people are Jesus bashing. And Andrew looked over at me with complete disbelief. And he was like, how has this woman gotten to be this age in life? She's got a graduate law degree. She's traveled all over the world, and she thinks we sit around bashing Jesus. You know what he said to me?
It probably was like, oh man, he's such an asshole. And remember what he was wearing the other day? And he showed up late on my wedding.
Do you know what he said to me?
What?
Andrew said to me, he was like, he doesn't even come up.
He doesn't. It's a little bit of a sore subject, maybe it's just among the Jewish faith. It's not something they like to revisit.
You are safe. We don't even talk about it.
Yeah, they don't like to revisit that.
Yeah.
So where I grew up, I grew up in a neighborhood very close to downtown Montreal, and it's like an old ritzy neighborhood. By that time, my parents had come up in ranks and stuff. And very interestingly, so French Canadians by culture are non-practicing Catholics, right?
Yes.
So let's call it like that. And this is the second largest Hasidic community after Williamsburg.
Oh, wow.
Why? I've Googled the hell out of why would a bunch of Hasidic Jewish people want to live with French Canadian Catholics? I have no idea. And it's hundreds of years.
Right. Okay.
Hundreds of years.
Oh,
It's not like yesterday it happened.
Yeah.
And I can't find an answer on Google. Like the rest of Canada is Anglophone, at least, because they mainly speak Hebrew, but their second language is English, not French. So they don't communicate with us, zero. And there's more Jewish in the English community. Like there's an English community that's wealthy, that's called Westmount, and it's like Ruffmans and Bronfmans are very wealthy, but at least they're Jewish, right? And that's like literally a mile away. Like, why aren't they going there? I don't like the pain they're imposing on themselves to live with a bunch of Catholics, French Canadian. So we were very, very familiar with the Jewish faith because we were surrounded in it. Yeah. They wouldn't talk to us because they're very, very conservative, right?
Yes.
They're not like your run-of-the-mill.
Yes.
But they, and every Saturday when there's Shabbat, they wear like the big hats and all that.
Yes.
But I'll never forget. So coming home from the clubs, when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, and I'd come home, like take the subway and walk home a little tipsy and stuff. And this is a old historic type neighborhoods, like 300 years old and whatever. So there's a lot of alleys, it's all nice townhouses, and you'd see, and like always inevitably, and I like, if people think that I'm being anti-Semite, I apologize, but that's what we saw. It would be like a station wagon and a couple of Hasidic Jewish people like drinking booze and smoking cigarettes, like late at night, like hiding.
Yes.
And it was like, I remember like, it was like shocking, right? Because during the day, they're like so, entranced in their faith, and they wouldn't even talk to us because we're impure, because we're different faith and very, very religious. But then at night, under the blanket at night, right, in darkness, they would be partying it up, just like me and my buddies. Right? So religious is an interesting, the Catholics would do the same thing, by the way, right? Except, maybe not in a back alley, but different. Yeah. So it's funny what we do for religion and what we hide for it.
Absolutely. It's crazy. And there's clearly so much more we can talk about, but we're at the end of our session today. They were not
bashing baby Jesus, because I listened, and they're being good about
I learned that. And now I live in as I call my American family, we celebrate Passover, we celebrate Easter, we celebrate Hanukkah, we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate the traditions of all of our families, with or without, the religious element. But anyway, here's to just, I think respecting, imagine, again, I just said, imagine we all just respected each other's belief system.
And it's not that hard to do that.
It's not.
Why do we all have to agree?
No,
we
don't have to agree.
We don't have to agree.
But we agree on this.
Oh, that we agree on.
We agree on this, and we agree that this naughty is
very
fantastic.
Good. Yeah, I like it.
I love it. I love our beautiful new glasses. Shout out to Heather, who gifted me these.
Oh, Heather, the one I met at your party?
Yes.
So nice.
And cheers to everyone. Have a wonderful alcohol-free time. Keep sending us your questions. We're gathering a whole bunch of questions. We're going to do a whole Q&A session. We're so grateful to everyone who's on this journey, who's listening, who's inspired, and mostly who are entertained, because that's what we're here for. We are not wellness gurus. We are not psychiatrists. We're just two women who broke up with booze, and we're here to tell our stories. And we will be back with the next episode. I'm Maxine. I am here. I'm happy, alcohol-free.
I'm Isabelle. Happy Easter. Keep it AF, and happy Easter as fuck, too. Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Mwah.
I wanna be